For the first entry in this potential series, the filmmakers really lucked out. They could release it on Friday the 13th and still be in cinemas for Halloween, because in 2017 they both happened in October. The second entry is playing to form, and that is due out as close to Valentine's Day as it could. They couldn't quite do the day because it's on a Thursday this year, but they got close. I'm of course talking of Happy Death Day and its forthcoming sequel, Happy Death Day 2U, the first of which was directed by Christopher Landon, starring Jessica Rothe, Israel Broussard and Ruby Madine, amongst others. And I was pleasantly surprised, I will say. The story of Tree, Carter, etc. just very much played against what I was going in and expecting. I've said in many videos, I think now, that I often will go with either low or no expectations, and I'm much happier than going in with a specific thing that I want out of it and not getting that. I'm rewatching a film series that I'm not sure I'm going to cover, but I won't say what it is in case I do, and I'm expecting too much of it that I'm dreading watching it. But that is kind of how I felt with Happy Death Day. The things I'd seen about it and heard about it made me feel that it was a very specific type of thing. The mask, the little sort of babyface mask thing, made me think a lot of Valentine with David Boreanaz, which was a film. That's about as much as you can say about it. It reminded me of that kind of Cupid face, and I was like, oh, we're getting something like that. So I was kind of dreading it off that, and like I said, the stuff I'd heard wasn't much, but it didn't come anywhere near what it actually was, which is basically Groundhog Day meets insert choice of slasher film, or slasher films. I think you could probably put a few in the mix there and it wouldn't feel out of place. And it was very, very different to what I was expecting, in a very good way. I enjoyed it. I loved the subverting the genre ideas that they did. I loved the way that, like you often see in these time loop things, you know, that people start to really play around with it and enjoy themselves because they know that consequences are not a thing anymore. And I love the misdirects that come through, you know, the killer guy who's escaped from prison, you know, all of this kind of stuff. You know, it's so good at misdirects that, as someone who unfortunately ruins films by second guessing and kind of coming to a conclusion about halfway through sometimes, on a good day at least. I know sometimes I completely miss it. But this was one that was guiding me down one path, and it was making sure it was trying its hardest to say it's this person here, or it's this direction. This is how she gets out the loop. But it's the roommate, the one who's been sort of over nice, which, okay, might be indicative of an ulterior motive here. But it's not what I expected, and I respect it for that. If you can go in and make me think it's something entirely different to what it is, you've won. Because like I say, I ruin things for myself doing that. But this didn't allow me to. I fully went the same way Tree did. It's like, oh, maybe it's this guy, and if I kill him, I'll be fine. Nope, I'm dead again. Maybe I've got to be super nice to people. I love that. I love the idea that, you know, it was played up like, oh, maybe I've just got to be super nice. This is like a life lesson. There you go. I've been super nice. Ha, happy days. And then she wakes up again the same day. So obviously that wasn't the solution. And I loved everyone's performance in this. You know, everyone gave a great job. From Jessica Rothe all the way through to like the bit part players. You know, the people like with the sprinkler, the pledges and everything like that. That guy had to fall so many times and he did it perfectly every time, you know. You know, everything about this had to be so well oiled to work, and I'm so glad it was. You know, the fact that we, throughout the course of the film, are getting this kind of connection with Tree, I guess. We're getting into her world, we're getting to feel for her. You know, she's really kind of coming to that point of constantly restarting the day, not knowing if she's going to wake up differently tomorrow, if she's going to survive, and all this, you know. And Carter is such a great companion for her in this. You know, once she gets him on board and keys him into what's going on, he's so great because he's on the ball. He's like, okay, maybe we need to do this, we need to do this. You know, let's unmonkey paw this situation. And like I say, the payoff, the fact that it's not who you expect, I think was great. So this was one of those, like I said, go in with different expectations, come out with something even better. Because I enjoyed it, because I didn't expect it. But it is something that I've started to really notice I enjoy a lot of, and that's kind of like meta or postmodern horror, in the same way that Deadpool is very much a postmodern superhero film. You know, this kind of film. There's a lot of others that I've been watching over the last sort of couple of years, perhaps, or even in the last few months particularly. I've noticed I've been gravitating very strongly to postmodern and meta kind of narratives in my horror, because horror is one of those genres that can get very stale very fast, because horror films are generally easy to make on a low budget. It's very easy to scare someone. It's very hard to convince them that there is a giant beast that we need to like be in awe of. You know, that requires a lot more money and what have you thrown behind it. So horror is one of the genres that can get saturated very fast. And if you allow yourself, obviously like I do, to watch even the lower budget films, you'll see that saturation point a lot quicker. So what really shook up the genre, I think, at least in a more modern way, recently, was Cabin in the Woods. You know, that very much shook up the narrative. It poked fun at the ideas that we have about horror. And like I say, there's a lot of films that have done this that I've really enjoyed. But both sides of the scale, there are sort of high-end, you know, sort of high-budget films, and there are sort of lower ones. And I'm not saying it all started with Cabin in the Woods. There's horror films going way back that have been very sort of postmodern and metaphysical with their narratives. But I love that kind of thing, so expect a lot more of them from me. Now I know that I love them, I'm seeking them out even more. But this is a good entry. If you want to sort of look at something that's subverting the genre, definitely take a look at this. I'm eager for Happy Death Day to You, and yeah, I really hope you all go and support these filmmakers, because if it's anywhere near as good as this one anyway, I'm looking forward to some way of making this a series. But that's all from me this week, so until next time, as always, thank you for watching and take care.